Hello again, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Tom Nelson, and this is Resolving Cholesterol Issues Naturally video series, and this is part 1 of 5. New important discoveries have been recently released on cholesterol. Those new discoveries found that there are actually 3 types of HDL and 2 types of LDL cholesterol, not just one of each as we previously have been taught. The HDL is found in 3 forms, as I said: HDL APO1, which is abbreviated as HDL1, and then there's HDL2 and HDL3. The LDL is now found in a LDL type A and an LDL type B. Both the LDL and the HDL are now found in 2 sizes, a large form and a small form. Some are beneficial because they're not going to contribute as a cause for heart disease or a stroke. But some are basically useless. HDL, which is normally referred to as the good cholesterol, is about 30% of the cholesterol that's transported throughout your bloodstream. The HDL1 is the good guy. That's the one that's going to seek out, capture all of the excess LDL cholesterol, and it's going to carry it to your liver to be disposed of. It marks the chylomicrons, which is the triglycerides that come from your intestines from meat or fat sources in your diet. And it also marks the VLDL, but the VLDL is basically those chylomicrons, those triglycerides from your diet that have been broken down by enzymes. But then after this point, the liver picks them up, and it will go through a series of breakdowns until it breaks it all down to LDL cholesterol and then releases it into the bloodstream. The HDL scrubs and maintains your blood vessels. So that HDL1 is going to not only clean your vessels, but it's also going to initiate repairs. The HDL1 also enhances your immune system by binding to toxins in the bloodstream, and so it'll carry them out along with that LDL cholesterol. And the HDL1 also contains antioxidants, which you've probably learned from other videos in these series, that antioxidants stop inflammation. And so those molecules are going to reduce the inflammation, the oxidation of the LDL type B particles that would otherwise become more and more additional accumulation of plaque in your arteries. So the total HDL level should be above 40 milligrams per deciliter for men and above 50 milligrams per deciliter for women, but preferably both should be above 60 milligrams per deciliter in order to ensure that they're safe. So again, those three HDLs, HDL and HDL2, are relevant. They're distinctive. The third one is the HDL3, is really totally useless, so we won't discuss that anymore in this video. HDL2 is a combination of the ApoA1 and the ApoA2. It's larger and it's significantly less beneficial. So if your HDL number is high and it's all HDL2, it's not going to protect you very much because it's not going to collect the LDL cholesterol like you would hope that it would. So the HDL1 reduces your risk of artery lesions, the things that cause the beginning of the accumulation of plaque, and it's going to reduce it 15 times greater than the HDL2 will. And it also provides a 52% less risk of developing heart disease than the HDL2. So clearly, you're hoping for an elevated level of HDL1 and a lower number of HDL2. So HDL1 reduces the risk of developing heart disease. The HDL1 can be easily damaged, though, by inflammation. So it's going to be critically important for you to do everything in your power to minimize the inflammation throughout your system. It's going to actually render those HDL1s useless when it comes to removing the excess LDL. And it's going to change from being anti-inflammatory to pro-inflammatory, which is the reverse of what you're hoping for. So again, LDL lipoproteins carry cholesterol. They carry the fats. They carry them throughout your body. They carry them to every one of your organs, to every tissue of your body, and to every single one of the cells in your body, and they enable your body to make repairs. We'll be covering that in greater detail. So excess LDL is susceptible to oxidation. So if you have too much of it, you're going to guarantee an increase in the accumulation of arterial plaque. So the LDL cholesterol is the primary transporter, as you will learn later, of cholesterol throughout your body. So now the LDL particles are found in those two sizes. The larger particles provide a distinct survival advantage, primarily because they're not going to cause any issues or increase your risk for heart disease. But the larger LDL type A particles are not at all dangerous. In fact, they're completely useless. But it's those smaller LDL particles, the type B particles, that are highly susceptible to inflammation, and they become sticky. That means that they will very readily accumulate in your arteries. So those very small LDL particles are very, very dangerous. They're in fact life-threatening particles, and they're extremely small. If you collect 10,000 of them and compress them together, they'll form a dot about the size of a period on a printed page. So you would think, well, that can't be too serious being that small. But every time you barbecue a steak, you're producing trillions of those. So they are so small that they are measured as a billionth of a meter, a nanometer. The small particles are easily oxidized, as I said, which means inflammation will occur, they will stick to the artery walls, and they will increase the plaque accumulation. So your liver converts the VLDL cholesterol into those type B cholesterol particles, the VLDL coming from your diet, and as you'll learn later, from a few other sources. So this means that even if your cholesterol numbers are good, meaning you had a blood test and you had a high HDL and a low LDL, and your doctor is very pleased with you, well, the fact of the matter is you could still be a very strong candidate for a heart attack. If most of that HDL was HDL2, even though the numbers are high, they're really pretty much useless because they're not going to collect and reduce the LDL cholesterol numbers in your bloodstream. And even if your LDL cholesterol numbers were low, if they were all type B, that dangerous one, then you could be at risk. But likewise, if your cholesterol numbers were low and your doctor's having heart palpitations, that HDL was low and the LDL is high, it's also entirely possible that you're not at all at risk. Because let's go back through that. If the HDL is all HDL1, even if it's a lower number, it's going to be collecting large amounts of LDL and reducing your risk. But if the LDL is all type A LDL cholesterol, it's totally useless. It's not going to cause any risk for you. So you could be in a position, even though your HDL is low and your LDL is high, that you're really not at risk at all. So the problem is that the current blood tests are counting both types of both the HDL and the LDL cholesterol, and it's grouping them, it's including them all as one number. There's no way of knowing how much of each you actually have. So there's no currently way to tell which ones you have and what your risk actually is. It would be too costly currently to do that. They would have to take your blood test into a laboratory and put it under a microscope. The cost would be too high. So the science world is frantically seeking to find a way that they can actually measure these different values and report them individually based on the type that they actually are. But you can take all the mystery out of your blood cholesterol readings by just making a few changes in your diet. You can take all of this fear away and all of this risk completely. So now proceed to part number 2. I'm going to explain about what cholesterol really actually is and where it comes from. And then from there, we're going to show you how you're actually inadvertently, unknowingly, causing your cholesterol LDL levels to rise. So thank you, and please share this information with your friends and your family.